Dear students, first year, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's lecture is about your first lesson, that is responsibilities of youth. I've already sent you a video of complete exercises and reading, but now I will try to explain this lesson in a very comprehensive manner so that once you listen to this video, you won't have any difficulty in understanding this lesson. Now, the responsibilities of youth. This is an adaptation or an excerpt from the speech of Quaid-e-Azam delivered at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948. Moving on to the objectives. Responsibilities of youth is an excerpt from the speech of Quaid-e-Azam delivered at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, where I was dashed by the Vice Chancellor with the request to deliver the convocation address, asked, approached, requested, announced. Now, when we have read the lesson carefully, I'll start from the beginning so that you can also understand that all the objectives taken from the text, from the lesson, are always done well if you read the text well. Mr. Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, when I was approached by the Vice Chancellor with a request to deliver the convocation address, request to deliver when I was approached. Now the correct option over here, the correct option is B and the word is approached. First of all, let me thank the Vice Chancellor for the dash terms in which he referred to me for the flattering terms. The correct word is flattering. I have done whatever I have been able to do merely as a measure of duty is dash upon every Musliman. This is also, I have done it merely as a second paragraph on page number 2. I have done it merely as a measure of duty which is incumbent upon every Musliman to serve his people honestly and selflessly. The correct word is incumbent. It's option C. I am here speaking to you as one who has always held you in heart, mind, affection, regard. This word is also in the lesson. In addressing you, I am not here speaking to you as the head of the state, but as a friend and as one who has always held you in affection. Many of you have today got your diplomas and degrees, and I congratulate you. Just as you have won the laurels in your university and qualified yourselves, so I wish you all success in the wider and larger world that you will enter. Now, I'm trying to make you understand that you must read the lesson carefully. Moving on to the words and meanings. Now, butchered means kill a person, chastened, have a restraining or moderating effect on, convocation, a large formal assembly of people, dingy, gloomy and drab, disgruntled, angry or dissatisfied, exploit, make full use of and derive benefit from. Then is fifth columnist, a fifth column in any group of people who undermine a large group from within, usually in favor of an enemy group or nation. Hanker, feel a strong desire to do for or to do something. Holocaust, destruction or slaughter on a mass scale, especially caused by fire or nuclear war. Incumbent is a noun necessary for someone as a duty of responsibility. Instance, an example or single occurrence of something. Laurels, bestow an award or praise on someone in recognition of an achievement. Rut, a long deep track made by the repeated passage of the wheels of vehicles. Shackles, a pair of fetters connected together by a chain used to fasten a prisoner's wrists or ankles together. Thwarted, prevent someone from accomplishing something. Upheaval, a violent or sudden change or disruption to do something. Weed out, remove unwanted plants. Now the first question is, why does the Quaid stress on youth to be continuously vigilant? The question, it means what was the Quaid trying to teach to the youth, that what should they do to become successful. Moving on to the first answer. In his address at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, the Quaid, a great leader, stresses on youth that their main occupation should be, in fairness to themselves, in fairness to their parents, and indeed in fairness to the state, to devote their attention solely to their studies. Only then they can equip themselves for the battle of life and to be a source of strength and of pride to their state. He further stated, or states, I would prefer stated, he further stated few points to be vigilant and beware of enemies. Firstly, beware of the fifth columnist. Secondly, guard against and weed out selfish people who only wish to exploit them so that they may swim. Thirdly, learn to judge who are really true and really honest, who wish to serve the people with heart and soul. All this demands complete solidarity, unity and discipline. He assured them, divided you fall, united you stand. Moving on to question number 2, which says, what according to the Quaid is the prime responsibility of youth? Understanding the lesson gives us a clear picture of this answer, but let's move on to the text. According to the Qaid, it is the gravest and prime responsibility, gravest means most important, and prime responsibility of youth to work for the good of the state. It is necessary for them to work as united and disciplined nation. All of them need a constructive spirit because it is far more difficult to construct or to run a government. He wants the students who are about to enter life to protect themselves from the enemies of Pakistan and those of themselves who have still to continue their studies for some times must not allow themselves to be exploited by any political party. He instructed them to devote their attention solely to their studies. Freedom, however, does not mean license. It means that they cannot behave irrespective of the interests of their people or of the state. Having read the text of the Qaid's speech, what traits of character the Qaid wants to see in the educated youth? The Qaid wanted the educated youth to be responsible citizens of the state. He wanted them to fully understand the implications of the revolutionary change that took place on the birth of Pakistan. A prime responsibility rested on them to work as a united and disciplined nation. All of them need to have constructive spirit to run the government. They should be fair to themselves, to their parents, and indeed to their state. They should have courage, determination, and strength to get destined goal for their state. They should be vigilant and beware of fifth columnist and selfish people. They should be initiative. They should be true and honest to serve the people with heart and soul. Now you can number these points. These are points, and in points, remembering them and answering them becomes very easy. Question number 4 now. Question 4 says, what advice does the Qaid give to the youth about the choice of a career? The Qaid advises those who have been following the rut and all that they think and hanker for is government service to get out of that rut. He wanted them to acknowledge that they are in a free state, Pakistan, where there are many opportunities to avail other than a government service. Government cannot absorb thousands. It is impossible. He advised them to divert their mind, their attention, their aims and ambitions to other channels. There is no shame in doing manual work and labor. They can learn banking, commerce, trade, law, and so on. There is an immense scope of technical education. They will benefit themselves more than by merely going in for government service in most dingy and uncomfortable conditions. Next question is question 5. Compare and contrast the youth of today with ideal youth of Qaid-e-Azam as described in his speech. The Qaid defined an ideal youth who are responsible citizens of the state and work for the welfare and prosperity of the state, but to always behave just as they please and do whatever that they like, irrespective of the interests of the people or of the state. An ideal youth has very constructive spirit and they play a very dynamic role in the nation's building. They always work as united and disciplined nation, but today's youth have forgotten the motto unity, faith and discipline, and they are fighting over non-significant issues blindly. He wanted today's youth full of courage, hope and confidence, but alas, today's youth is the very weak segment of the society. According to him, they are incredibly creative and they have the energy to take immediate action. But the youth of today with less potential are not capable of doing a lot of things. Today's youth has left hard work. If today's youth starts working hard, they will definitely be successful. Moving on to question 6. Having read the text of responsibilities of youth, what in your view could be the possible role of youth in crisis management of the country? Youth can play a very dynamic role in disaster risk reduction and management. They are the change agent. They have the energy to take immediate action when emergencies occur. They are incredibly creative. They can contribute ideas and actions during disasters. They can reopen appropriately and calmly when confronted with an actual event. Being responsible and active members of the state, they can work for the welfare and prosperity of the state. They have constructive spirit which will benefit themselves to run a government. They can work as a united and disciplined nation. They can be an asset and a source of strength to their state. They can play a vital role in the constructive process of building social cohesion, economic prosperity and political stability in a nation. Next is question number 7. Qaid says not only Pakistan survived the shock of that upheaval than ever. Which upheaval is he talking about? Qaid is talking about the upheaval when the enemies of Pakistan turned their attention to finding ways and means to weaken and destroy its citizens. This hardly had the new state come into being when came the Punjab and Delhi Holocaust. Thousands of men, women and children were mercilessly butchered and millions were uprooted from their homes. Over 50 lakhs of these arrived in the Punjab within a matter of weeks. The care and rehabilitation of these unfortunate refugees was a big challenge for the state of Pakistan, and its enemies, who had hoped to kill Pakistan by these means, were disappointed. Not only has Pakistan survived the shock of that upheaval, but also it has emerged stronger, more chastened, and better equipped than ever. Moving on, interpret and analyze the following statements from this speech. Beware of the fifth columnist among ourselves, guard against and weed out selfish who only wish to exploit you so that they may swim. Hitherto you have been following the rut. All you think and hanker for is government service. Now I want you to get out of that rut and that mentality, especially now that we are in free Pakistan. Beware of the fifth columnist among ourselves. Fifth columnist defines as a traitor, spy, a member of the fifth column, an organized body working for the enemy within a country or a group of an enemy who try to undermine a nation's unity. While addressing at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, Quaid-e-Azam says that it is distressing to know that a group of influential people working secretly for the enemy continues to exist in Pakistan. He warns the youth that to be aware of the fifth columnist, he was fully aware of the external and internal enemies of the country. He warned them by using the term fifth columnist. Next is, in his address at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, the Qaid stresses on the youth to be vigilant and beware of the enemies, and also from those selfish people who only wish to destroy and weaken them for their own means. He instructs them to remove those unwanted and selfish people from their life who distract them from their right path. Part C. In his address at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, the Qaid advises those who have been following the rut that they only desire to get government service to get out of that rut. He wants them to acknowledge that they are free in the state of Pakistan. Now the summary of this lesson. On page number 7, there is a question. Write a summary of the lesson responsibilities of youth. From a historical point of view, March has been a defining time for the people of what is today Bangladesh. Only months into the creation of Pakistan, its founder, Governor General Muhammad Ali Jinnah, arrived in Dhaka on March 1948, a time when the eastern province of Pakistan was turning increasingly restive over the language issue. In his address at the Dhaka University Convocation on 24th March 1948, the Qaid focused on the youth and told them that the great responsibility rested on them was to work as a united and disciplined nation for the good of the state. Now the summary is the entire lesson, but only the important points are used. In summaries, only important points are revised and retold. Our government is our own government of the people, responsible to the people of the state and working for the good of the state. All of them must have constructive spirit to run a government. They must not allow themselves to be exploited by any political party. He stresses on the youth that their main occupation should be in fairness to themselves, in fairness to their parents, and indeed in fairness to the state. They should devote their attention to their studies. Only then they can equip themselves for the battle of life. Now next is group discussion. After group discussion, we will move on to the exercises. Important exercises are these. Circle the abstract noun, and now we know that abstract nouns are nouns that cannot be touched. They are feelings. I respected the honesty, underline honesty. Can you believe that woman's brilliance, underline brilliance. To my delight, everyone arrived on time. Abstract noun is delight. She was in great despair. We cannot despair, but we touch despair, but despair is a feeling. We have a lot of hope, underline hope. They showed extreme joy. The men had much bravery on the battlefield. My mother always shows great compassion for her children. We have a ton of pride in our school. Write a sentence with each abstract noun given below. Love. I have great love and respect for my parents. Pleasure. She smiled with pleasure when we praised her. Calm. It was calm before the storm. Despair. Her voice was full of despair when she heard the news. Truth. We have to accept the truth. Tell whether the following nouns are countable or not. Tick the correct option and use these nouns in sentences. Confusion, uncountable. Roof, countable. Traffic, uncountable. Pain, uncountable. Behavior, uncountable. Knife, countable. Cutlery, uncountable. Freedom, uncountable. Mouth, countable. Peace, uncountable. Now next moving on is collective nouns. Each of these sentences contains a collective noun. Identify and then use these collective nouns in your own sentences. Keys, marbles and rubber bands were just a few of the things in the pile. The boys decided to join the Navy. After the performance, all the actors joined hands and bowed towards the audience. The team celebrated heartily after scoring a winning goal. Most of the students on the council are also on the honor roll. Most of the students on the council, most of the board's crew worked all night to stop the leak. The talent show featured several individual performers along with bands. Our extended family, all the students are attending a school assembly. The Senate will be voting on three education funding bills. The teachers and administrators held a meeting in the faculty. The sheep clustered in a tight flock. These are all collective nouns: swarm, herd, flock, bouquet, gang, bundle, band, collection. A swarm of locusts attacked a herd of cattle. A flock of birds is always a beautiful sight. They welcomed the chief guest with a bouquet of flowers. As we drove down the countryside, we saw a herd of sheep grazing in the fields. The gang of thieves had been arrested by the police. There we saw a man carrying a bundle of clothes on his head. A band of musicians was hired to perform at the party. My friend has a fine collection of old stamps. Now, collective nouns are words which are used for a number of people. One word is used for a number of people. And here we have used all the collective nouns in this exercise. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe our channel, and thank you.